Katamari Damacy. This was a game I picked up many moons ago, mainly because I recognized the name, but I couldn't quite remember why. So as you can imagine, when I first put this into my PS2 and turned it on and was presented with this, I was immediately both confused and interested. Now the story follows the king of all cosmos, this giant guy here. He goes on the bender to end all benders, and in the process, destroys the night sky. Like, all of it. It's just gone. But now, because he won't get off his lazy ass, he forces all the responsibility of fixing this mess onto his son, the prince, who also just happens to be the size of a dime, so it's one giant task for one little boy. There's also a secondary story following a group of children who witnessed the prince's rampage, despite the fact that no other adults seem to notice. I'd also like to talk about a small bit of storytelling in each individual level, where various objects are interacting with each other in unique circumstances that makes every level feel like it's trying to tell its own unique story. So I also have to give credit to the level designers who took it upon themselves to be storytellers with each and every individual level, which is just fantastic. In order to complete the prince's goal of restoring the night sky, he has to piece by piece put back all the stars. He does this by rolling a Katamari. This Katamari is essentially a very sticky bumbleball looking thing. Anyone out there remember bumbleballs? Man, I'm old. He rolls this sticky ball around the earth, collecting objects. And as the Katamari picks up more and more objects, it gets bigger and bigger. So while you might start rolling your Katamari around a house, picking up ants and sugar cubes, eventually you're rolling around down the street picking up soccer balls and plastic bags. Eventually you're picking up the neighbor's dog, the car, the neighbors, all the buildings in the surrounding area, only to have it flung into the sky and lit on fire to become a star. So basically, the prince is a demonic monster who forces people to spend eternity self-combusting. Man, I think the prince may have topped Dig Dug for being the most evil protagonist character ever. Anyway, Katamari is basically a very simple concept polished to a shine. The only thing that's remotely awkward about it is the initial control of the Katamari, because it doesn't quite control like your standard video game character. Instead, it controls more like how a tank would realistically control, with your left control stick controlling the left side of the Katamari, and the right control stick controlling the right side. So to go forward, you would have to press forward on both control sticks. If you do it on one, you simply pivot around a singular point. It's a little awkward, but once it clicks, and then gameplay becomes very intuitive. Now, not every level is based around making your Katamari as big as possible. Most of them are, but there are a few exceptions, such as collecting X number of Y object, or collecting the biggest version of X. It all works well, but this does come to like the one negative thing I can say about this game, and that is, playing this game will make you hate objects of exact specific size, cows, and bears. So just be aware of that going in. But even outside those specialty levels, there's a sort of metagame going on, where you have to try and fill out this collection book, as each individual item in this game is all named differently, which makes going around hunting each individual item in the world a far more fulfilling experience. Now, presentation-wise, Katamari is excellent. It has a sort of bright, high-contrast, cubist aesthetic, as everything is more pointed than round. Like all the people look like little people out of Minecraft or something. It helps to give this game a greater sense of visual personality. And of course, once again, I'm going to go back to this, but seeing how all the objects are interacting with each other in the world is a very interesting experience in and of itself. I found myself on a couple of occasions forgetting to actually play the game and just looking around and seeing how all the different objects are interacting with one another, trying to see what various stories are trying to be told through these people's lives. Now, audio presentation wise, the game is also very good. The soundtrack is basically iconic, with every song being almost a character in the game itself, being full of bright, cheery personality, and really, without the soundtrack, this game would definitely be a lot less interesting, I think. The soundtrack helps to round out the package. It's definitely very Japanese, full of mostly Japanese pop and stuff, but it helps to round out the package and make Katamari have its own entire aesthetic on virtually every plane, both on gameplay, visual, and audible. So the audio design was expertly done. The voice acting, or what little there is of it, is a little bit odd, but I think it works, and the sound effects are done very well. And that's Katamari Damacy. It's an excellent feel-good game. Pop this thing into your PS2 and it'll perk you up. Every time I play it, I have a big grin on my face. I really enjoy this game. And Katamari Damacy did well enough to not only get a sequel, but an entire series. An entire series that I mostly own already, because this game made me such a big fan. Now, is this game the best one in the series? Well, actually, I kinda like the direct sequel to this, We Love Katamari, also on the PS2. But that's a bit harder to find and, in my experience, more expensive. I also found that Katamari Forever on the PS3 may have surpassed this game in my books as well. But this game is a very, very solid pickup for your PS2, and I would even go so far as saying it's kind of a hidden gem. While it has gotten a little bit better known over the years, this one still kind of sits in obscurity, near as I can tell, and I think it's an excellent game. This excellent, well-made arcade game is not wildly expensive. I picked my game up many moons ago for about $1, and this game has the rare distinction of being the singular best dollar I have ever spent on a game, so take that for what it's worth. This game is awesome. Picking up a copy yourself will tend to go for about $20 maybe, but if I recall you can also get this on PSN for a little less than that, so that's also an option. And while I would openly recommend the direct sequel to this or the PS3 game more than this one shows where the series came from. It came from a very simple concept that was polished down to a shine, and created an excellent, fun, and unique arcade experience. If you own a PS2, you have no excuse not to own Katamari Damacy, because this game is a must-own gem.